Hey, is this thing on? Are we recording? Can I get a tech person? Oh, for the love of ed tech.
Today, we are talking to Jessica Short, the director of the Dayton Regional STEM Center and our building office mate. So we're excited to have Jessica here today. Welcome, Jessica.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for having me. Good morning.
We're excited. We are excited to talk to Jessica. Jessica's fun. So we
Yes.
always start out, yes, this will be a good one. So we always start out having people that we talk to tell us about their journey into education and how they kind of ended up where they are. So if you want to start there.
Yes, absolutely. So, pretty initial standard journey into education, I suppose. Definitely am one of those proponents of you only know what you know and you see, and so surrounded by educators throughout time that obviously led into some interests, but probably in 7th grade, I was like aware or kind of started leaning into like, I really would enjoy this. And it was like from one of my teachers. And I love when that happens. And I love those stories that one teacher makes such an impact
Yeah.
on a student, not necessarily but from what they were learning, but just because of that relationship and who they are. And super funny, I guess, relationship in that sense. Mr. Fender, he like his reputation was terrifying and everyone was pretty scared. Like when you go in, like we were told, like he caught a kid sleeping and he threw like a desk out the window and all of these things. And like I was like, oh my goodness, what are we getting into? This is
Uh,
gonna be crazy. And and he was a tough cookie, but he was awesome. It was so much fun to be
yeah.
in his class, and it was early world history, and
Oh,
there
cool.
just something about the subject area and just his connection with the students, and something about those tough and high expectations that he had, but
Mhm.
that, compassion and the willingness to want to build those relationships with his students, that was something really important. So that was like the first time I was like, yeah, I really enjoy this concept of education. And so when I got into high school, I think that gave me an advantage because I was not only trying to do well in school, but also I was watching my teachers to see like what do I like that they do, what do I enjoy about class, and how does that work. And it wasn't until my junior year, my chemistry teacher, she was like our modern day Miss Frizzle from Magic School Bus. We sang songs, we did crazy experiments, we danced. I mean, this was we were juniors in high school, and it was the most fun that I have ever had, and really the first time that I did well in science
Oh,
and
wow.
enjoyed science.
Yeah.
Definitely wasn't my favorite subject area before that. I kinda struggled in it, and that just, like, clicked, and it was chemistry.
Mhm.
How
I was like,
cool.
"This is" I know. I was like, "Oh my goodness." So I was like, "Okay, I want to be her. I want" every kid loved her. And I was like,
Mhm.
I want that experience, not only learning so much, changing the mindset of students and the way they feel about science and math, because I had her for physics the year after.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. And,
You really
but
jumped in the science pool there,
I
right?
really just kinda dove right into that. I was like, "Okay, here we go." Something about having that. So, that kinda set the path. I was like, "Okay, I'm going in education. I definitely want to be that kinda teacher." And
Mhm.
so, I went to school for middle childhood education, have something near and dear to my heart for those 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. So, that was, like, my hope. That was my hope. I never got there. So, I never made it there. I spent 7 years in the, high school classroom teaching 9th grade science. I just always wound up in
Okay.
9th, and taught science and a couple years of history as well. And I live still in about an hour southeast of Dayton. And so I was in some very rural school districts, smaller school
Mhm.
districts, and that was very eye-opening, and I genuinely loved bringing science and opportunities to our students in the classroom. And as time went on, I loved it so much, and I saw the impact that, I could make in a classroom, that I wanted to have the opportunity to make a bigger impact for a longer
Mhm.
period of time on a larger group of students. So I really felt that I wanted to move more towards an administrative role, to help kind of share that passion and the ability to, connect with more students and, share these opportunities. So was able to find that role in Dayton, kind of brought me here. I spent the 5 years at the Dayton Regional STEM School, so not to be confused with the STEM Center. Happy coincidence there that I've been able to be at both, but I stepped into that school building, and I was really excited because I found my people, and a group of educators that just genuinely had the same passion and philosophy in education that I did. And
Yeah.
like being able to have a team that wants to bring that type of education style to students is pretty empowering. And so I
Yeah.
had such a wonderful experience throughout that time. And where I'm at now, so currently the director of the Dayton Regional STEM Center, this position had opened up with the Montgomery County Education Service Center. And again, it was strictly, I I now have the opportunity to bring this to even more students.
Mhm.
So my education experience in the classroom, my time that was spent at the STEM school, learning how to incorporate project-based learning, work-based learning, STEM career pathways, internships, career exploration. This runs the gamut of
Mhm.
the things that were available to these students, in a different way of delivering them. And I saw a success there, and I would love and still continue to want to make sure that we are able to bring that to more students, as many as that we can, and help educators know that there is a way to look at the approach to the classroom differently, that is engaging and yet really successful for student learning.
So we were actually talking about this the other day because there's at this point in the year, people are kind of making decisions if they're going to stay in their traditional public school or maybe look into attending the Dayton Regional STEM school. So could you kind of tell us what the difference is? What's a school day look like at the STEM school versus a more traditional public school?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll put the caveat in there that, the STEM school that I'm going to refer to is one of the 5 independent STEM schools that came about in under Lieutenant Governor Husted's initiative back in,
Mhm.
I believe, 2000. So there are these 5, but there are so many districts within the Dayton region and within the
Mhm.
state that are also STEM designated
Okay.
and embody this approach and have a lot of the features that I could kind of share that were within my experience. And it's
Mhm.
so, while the my experience at the sim school was amazing, I love that there are a lot of districts and a lot of schools and opportunities, as time goes on, they're realizing that these practices and this approach to education is successful for a lot of
Mhm.
students, and they're incorporating that into their public school model, which
It's
is in the
great.
end what I think it works
Yeah.
out perfectly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really about just being open to those opportunities and practices that potentially not necessarily disrupt, but become available, but maybe do not fit into a traditional model and cause some need for flexibility. Um,
Mhm.
Heavy on autonomy on your educators for the planning, the decision making, the scheduling,
Yeah.
the researching for these opportunities and collaboration with administration to bring these things to students, because that in the end really led to a lot of the success and implementation and buy-in from the entire district. And so, I loved that was my favorite time. We purposely had grade level team meetings twice a week for an
Goodness.
hour during their lunchtime. So it was like a working lunch that we would be able to attend, that I'd be able to go to, and just be able to kind of think about that and have that time each week to check in on not only like what's going on with our students, but also some like strategic thought process and planning for projects and things like that. And then on the other end of that, being open to partners that just have an idea and maybe want to see if there's some involvement that can happen, or our teachers have an idea and they think it's kind of crazy, but they reach out. They're like, I know someone though. Can we just see what we can do with
Mhm.
it? And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
let's go check it out. So I'll totally like my favorite story is we had a local farm, Happy Wife Acres, reach out to the school and said, I have this chicken who suffered who's right, I have a chicken and she suffered frostbite and she lost her
Oh.
legs, which is
Aw.
so sad, right? It was terrible,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
we wanted to see if we potentially wanted to have some students work on designing some prosthetic or legs or a walking
Aw.
opportunity for this chicken, and we're like,
Oh.
"That's an engineering design challenge if I ever heard one." And
Yes.
so
Yeah.
we like they rallied the troops, and there was an after school club created, and it was 6th through 12th graders that kind of
Oh,
led
wow.
these teams, and they worked on different designs. They met with some different professionals around prosthetics and materials. And of course, the chicken, she came to stay with us in the school. And she had a support chicken friend that would come as well. So obviously this it was a rally for the entire district to get behind. And
Yeah.
in the end there were there were some creations that they got to test out and some prototypes, and one of them we got to see her walk in, so we absolutely love
Yeah.
that. It's just so what a success story and what a win. And did that necessarily fit into, I mean, there obviously isn't a chicken curriculum
Right.
anywhere in
Maybe there
there,
should be.
but maybe there should be, but but the amount of skills that they had to encompass and pull from their classes was unreal, and they spent more time outside of school kind of researching and connecting with partners and building some of those professional skills that we find so critical. I still feel are so critical in the
Yeah.
process of education. So like such a win in that sense. And
Yeah.
that
And
right
they'll
there,
remember that
They
forever.
forever. Yes. They'll be telling their kids
I
about that.
I can't forget it. I will never forget it. It
Yes.
wasn't even like you'd walk by and there's your chickens and they're hanging out
Yeah.
Oh
in
my
the school.
gosh. Yeah.
So
That's
fun,
crazy.
so fun. But so, and maybe it's not the difference of a STEM school versus a traditional school. It's more of the mindset that you're going in.
Mm.
And I'll
Mhm.
kind of go in, I guess, a little bit further just in what I guess I call it my STEM versus maybe what STEM maybe originally was set out to be. So, it's been an acronym for quite some time. We know it's the four
Right.
subject areas: science, technology, engineering, and math. And that's true. It reigns true still today. However, I feel that limits maybe or alienates some who feel that that's not maybe for them, including that
Okay.
was me up until I got into my
Yeah.
career, even though, and now here I am. That's all I live and breathe is STEM. So my STEM is strategies that engage minds. That's the
Oh, I
approach.
like that.
Absolutely. And I just got to meet with a group of student delegates for the region, and we were talking about, why is it so important? And there's such a big focus on careers and career exploration. And while we know
Mhm.
STEM careers are in demand, there's a lot of careers that are in demand, and
Right.
we want all of our students to have a career that fulfills them in a multitude of aspects, not only in terms of their economic standing, but
Yeah.
even more so socially and emotionally. So, my what I leave them with, and I said, if you get nothing else out of this talk today, I want you to understand, like, all careers are not STEM careers. I think we've tried to
Mhm.
always fit them into as some type, and I was like, that's not the case. You're not going into a
Mhm.
STEM field per se. However, um, there is STEM in all careers. You're going to
Right.
need it. And it's more of those strategies. It's the problem solving, it's the ideation, it's the critical thinking, it is the collaboration. It's all of those what I find are extremely critical skill sets
Mhm.
that our schools need to be ensuring success in for the students, along with content, but doing it in a way that's truly elevating that skill set. Because in the end, if they can do all of those things, if we put
Mhm.
anything else in front of them, they're successful. They're going to be able to do it. They're going to be able to
Yeah.
over the challenge. So I think that more so is the differentiator between
Yeah.
maybe what you see in a STEM classroom or in a STEM school or with a STEM mindset is you are truly embodying that STEM mindset, not the fields, but the engagement of those strategies.
Hmm. Why is STEM so important in today's educational landscape? But I feel like you
There you
just
go.
answered that with all of the things you were talking about with the skills.
Yes,
So,
all day long. So important.
yes. If you like this podcast, check out our latest, Minds Over Media, a collaboration between SOIDA and the University of Cincinnati, delving into diverse aspects of media literacy. Uncover the power of media literacy through insightful conversations and gain valuable insight from esteemed scholars and dedicated educators navigating this complex landscape. Check it out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Okay, so we've touched on like the STEM school and that experience. So as director of the Regional STEM Center, I know you do a lot of work with teachers. So I am curious if you can tell us a little bit about the STEM Fellows program.
I am so excited to tell you about this because it's going through, like, we're getting ready to do a relaunch of it. So I would love to share all about this
Oh,
with you.
nice.
Oh, perfect timing.
Timing. Perfect
Yes.
timing. So
Yay.
the STEM Fellows program has been the signature professional development opportunity for educators, the flagship of the STEM Center for what is now 16 years. So
Okay.
from the beginning, it's been there. And it was designed and it's been designed to leverage educators pre-K through 12 to be on teams and partnered with industry, military individuals and higher ed individuals to learn and walk through and train in the high quality STEM framework that was designed by Dr. Jim Raleigh. It nationally recognized and utilized in a variety of areas. And by doing that and going through that training process, they worked together to design a curriculum unit that has
Oh,
been
interesting.
piloted in classrooms, vetted, edited, and then published on our STEM Center website for free access and open source to anyone that in anywhere that is interested in utilizing it. They're pretty extensive units. They're sometimes between 7 and 15 days. And that's proven to be extremely awesome. We in the last few years had noticed that with the landscape, but we'll just like lay it out what it is. When COVID hit, definitely saw a tick in maybe some different approaches and some new needs in the education system in terms of curriculum and in terms of educator expectations and opportunities. I will say currently it's a struggle to be able to fit in a 7 to 15 day unit project on a subject that you potentially, if you are not a STEM teacher and you're just doing maybe science or English or math,
Mhm.
to have it fit completely with your pacing chart and your curriculum. And so we are, are these what we're creating beneficial and usable for our region, for people? And
Yeah.
also it's a pretty intensive program. It's about 6 months long and it's in the evenings.
Mhm.
So that's a lot of time. And as we know, like, unfortunately, educators' time is becoming more and more thinned out in terms of the requirements that are being expected of them. And so having them with an evening time, even though I feel that when they're in the program, it's thoroughly worth it, being able to make
Yeah.
that commitment is not
Yeah.
always something that is available to everybody. And so we looked at some additional data and determined that this year we maybe needed to look at a redesign process for the program, just based on just a variety of feedback from all stakeholders. So we have had a listening session and program reviews this entire year so far. We pulled about 65 stakeholders in from all sectors, including our educators that have participated in the program in the past, our administrators of the region, our industry partners from all different sectors, our military, and our higher ed institutions, and our nonprofits, and then also some of our, we called them the legacy group, who have been a part of the program for quite some time and understand the ins and outs of it. So trying to get everybody's insight and intake on this. If we're doing a redesign model, what does it need to look like, and what do we need to be evaluating? And
Yeah.
they were fantastic. Super excited just to have this conversations. And we then were able to bring them back after we got that initial feedback and listening sessions to do a tuning protocol. I don't know if anyone has ever done a tuning protocol before. It's actually, I thought it was a more common practice. It's definitely in schools a common practice, but it's not something that happens all the time. In my
Interesting.
former school district, project tuning protocols are what we did, and it's just a way to solicit feedback in a strategic manner. So we did an innovation tuning protocol for the STEM Center that allows for any type of problem or project to go through the engineering design process vetting. And then we leveraged industry and engineering terms,
Hmm.
vocabulary for the styles of feedback, so
Mhm.
that we were able to, if this was something that we wanted to leverage in the classroom with our students or in a professional development with teachers, we are encompassing or embodying that professional industry workplace vocabulary
Oh,
that would be used kind of universally in that sense. And so it's really cool. It takes about 45 to 50 minutes, and you
okay.
are able to get a variety of different feedback types from your peers. And the way that it is scaffolded or strategically set, you open after you give your kind of your pitch of what the problem is. So you kind of go through the different design points of an engineering design process. They start with a warm feedback in the
Okay.
simple form of it. And so you kind of have about 3 to 5 minutes of warm feedback. They move into cool feedback, which is not negative feedback. It's more of what
Mhm.
makes them stop or ponder, have questions about, concerns that are raised, things like that. And then it finally goes into the ideas, or what we call the innovative insights in that sense. And so that's the time you spend the most time. That's where they're giving the, like, if this is a challenge, or you said this is something you're still thinking about, I wonder if you did this, or I wonder if you thought about
Mhm.
this, or I have a connection, or this partner would be very good. So this is where the actual brainstorming takes place. But because you did those first two, when you get to that point, the ideas are amazing, when you have that. So we got to do this with all of our groups, and we brought them all back and kind of pitched the new program. So some of the things that have came to be from this is, it's the STEM Fellows are getting a new program name. Um,
Oh, nice.
yeah, right? Like, I was like, first big drop. They are
Mhm.
moving into the approach of, while it is still a STEM mindset, just going back into what we were talking about before,
Mhm.
it is not STEM in the sense of the four subject areas. It is STEM
Okay.
in the subject of the strategies that engage minds. So the program is now going to be called the Next GEM, GEM,
Cute.
Okay.
Innovators,
Mhm.
Next GEM Innovators. So this is more focused on innovation, leadership, design thinking, and leveraging the educators as the product rather than the curriculum that was designed before. So we are in the business of human product moving forward, producing and delivering educators back out into the district that are, training and going through some professional development around things that the district can leverage for a leadership or a strategic innovation movement within their school buildings, within their teacher teams, within their district, within their community. And so, another model, we're moving it to 4 days in person with some hybrid virtual meetings in between. So eliminating a lot of
Okay.
events. Super
Yes.
excited about that. And they're going to be full day so that we have time to spend time in on site in industries and working with partners, all these things.
Very
And we are going to have 3 different pathways that they can actually choose their own adventure of what type of training or focus they would like to do in this sense. So they still have the opportunity to work on curriculum, but it's not a curriculum unit that is large, expansive, and maybe something that they cannot implement. It is something of their choosing that they actually could
Oh,
actually take back to their to their classroom and use.
Yes.
So hooray on that one right away. So there's still curriculum opportunity, but on the other end, there's the leadership pathway, focusing more on they are going back to the classroom. They could serve as coaches, lead professional development, design, and maybe curriculum models instead, or
Mhm.
outside like career exploration pathways and different
yeah.
things along that way for their district. And then finally, there is the partner or the community engagement collaboration pathway where we're going to be focused more on establishing authentic and meaningful partnerships with industries. So going beyond the guest speaker realm, how
Oh,
do we
yeah.
strategic partnership with an industry in the classroom, in the buildings, in the districts, how to successfully bring about community engagement events. So we've got like this menu of choices that they potentially could pick to work on. But during this time, we're actually going to have time to work on these innovative projects that we can implement
Cool.
or at least have plans to implement. So genuinely bringing something back to the district that's valuable and addresses the needs that are currently going on either in their classrooms or in their school buildings or in their districts. So I'm really, really excited for just the new model. We're still working out all the kinks and the different things, but it's going to be ready to go in the fall of 24. So we're going to open up our
Cool.
cohort in that
Yeah.
sense.
How does that work? Like, how, if a teacher is interested, like, how do they join?
So we are still we're waiting on some information in terms of funding in that sense, but we will be opening up applications in early August. We'll have recruitment flyers and information ready to go in the spring right now
Okay.
of that.
Yeah.
There'll be an application process with a recommendation from their administrator and kind of a memorandum of understanding in that
Mhm.
sense. But it'll be an
Mhm.
application process that we will vet through. This also gives us the opportunity for schools to submit team applications
Oh,
if
Oh,
a
cool.
team wanted to attend. So if they wanted to do some larger strategic work during this process, that's available to them.
Mhm.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be an educator in the sense of a classroom teacher. We
okay.
could certainly see if they were going in those other 2 pathways, if a curriculum director or a principal, a counselor, an after school aide, or I mean, however they feel, it's more of what would their team look like if they really wanted to accomplish this and need some further coaching, training, and guidance, and we could provide that
Cool.
support and be able to kind of lift that up successfully. So super pumped about that. But it really, we're just kind of going through what that application process would look like, vetting those to make sure that we're able to provide that support for what they're needing. We would love to have obviously all the time a representation of our region in terms of
Yeah.
participants. So, we'd love a variety of different schools to be in participation in this and a variety of, alternative options as
Right.
well. We could see this being a great opportunity for pre-service educators, after school, maybe
Mhm.
after school organizations with,
Yeah.
educators years. They're huge in this realm, and there's a lot of time. After school time has been kind of the movement forward in terms of embedding some of those direct STEM opportunities. So that is
Yeah.
perfect sense that they would come
Yep.
along and join us on this. So really trying to open up the STEM realm and what it
Yeah.
really could mean for our region and for everyone who is involved with working with our students.
That's really
Nice.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I like the shift in the way that you're doing it. That's
Yeah.
really cool. Instead of it just being like, this is how it's done kind of a thing with the options. That's neat.
Voice and choice, we are, yeah, it's something that has been, it's a big proponent of project-based learning, personalized learning. It's a big part of STEM in terms of
Mm-hmm.
the design thinking and that process. So again, if we are encouraging our school systems and our education approach to model that, then we want to make sure that our program is also modeling that as well.
Yeah,
Right.
that's just great. What does the STEM ecosystem look like? Or honestly, maybe explain a little bit of what that even means, or what is that?
Right.
I would love to explain all of that. So it is
Yeah.
so if you are not living in the realm of the STEM ecosystems, it is definitely elusive to
Yeah.
many. So I am so happy and honored that I get to be a part of that organization. But we in the Dayton region have the Do STEM ecosystem. The DO is
Right.
capitalized on purpose because it stands for Dayton, Ohio. So we are the Do
Ah,
STEM. I
I
know.
did not
I didn't know that. I just thought
I
we
did
were
not
really
know
like
that.
excited about doing
uh,
things.
thought it,
Yes.
and
I
while
loved
it's a
it.
great play on words, it is amazing. I cannot take credit
Yes.
for that. The original creators and establishers of the ecosystem had that on lock, but I love sharing that insight with everybody. So do capitalize is on purpose. Dayton, Ohio
Love
ecosystem.
it.
So we are the Do STEM ecosystem. I serve as the coordinator of operations for this ecosystem, and we are a part of a larger organization. So the STEM Learning Ecosystems Community of Practice, they are part of PIES, which is a national organization that is actually based out of Cleveland. So it's kind of nice to have them in our backyard, but they span nationally and internationally. There are currently 111 and counting STEM ecosystems in the nation, and I believe there's about 8 to 10 in other countries as well. So a much larger organization than and ecosystems than just ours in Dayton. There are 5 in Ohio. There is one in Cincinnati. There is so they are the greater Cincinnati
Oh, STEM
STEM
collaborative.
Collaborative. Thank you very much. Yes, there is the Appalachian. Are they the STEM Collaborative as well? Got to remember what their names are now. They've got some wild names. So, and the STEM ecosystem spans like 16, 17 counties across
Oh, wow.
southern and eastern Ohio. And then there's Neo STEM, which is in the Cleveland area. And then there's STEM Works, that is for it's kind of north central Ohio for the most
Okay.
part. So we've got a lot of the larger regions. There's still some areas that we don't have some touch points, but there are 5 in Ohio, but just so many more. And I believe the word ecosystem is intentional as well. So when you think of ecosystem in biology class, it's a
Mhm.
natural working order of
Yeah.
all organisms together to not only survive but to sustain and thrive forward. And that's exactly what the ecosystem does. It's leveraging the skills, the strengths, and the opportunities that exist already in the region and bringing those players together, understanding what their role is in our region when it comes to STEM, and leveraging those to make it even stronger and utilizing them to lift up opportunities for our educators and students. So heavy focus obviously on workforce development, still a heavy focus on opportunities for educators and students around education and professional training. And we have a council, a Do STEM council. It just expanded. So we've got about 18 council members from all different sectors of the region. It's very important that our council that meets regularly reflects the diversity, not only in terms of our sectors of the region, but also the ethnicity and our
Mhm.
people of the
Yeah.
region. So we very strategically made sure that that's intentional in terms of
Mhm.
that. We have higher ed institutions on the council, military representatives on the council. There are K-12 from a career tech center, the STEM school, and from Dayton Public representatives on the council. There are our industry from a variety of different sectors and our nonprofits. So we're making sure that we are really truly pulling in
Yeah.
key players across the region to make sure that we are in the know and figuring out what can we do to make sure that we're lifting up these opportunities that come down the line, them out to our students. And then is there a way to even collaborate on those initiatives to make them even stronger, not
Mm.
to redesign, not to take over, just to lift up and make sure that we're getting the right kids, we're getting kids who maybe do not have access or haven't heard about them
Mhm.
before, and same thing with our educators, to these places so that we are able to not only, help our pipeline, but also keep our talent in the region.
Yeah,
Right.
which
Right.
is important.
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't think any of us could disagree the importance in that. So it's just that our ecosystem is in its fourth year of existence. So it was great. It was launched in February of 2020.
Oh, just in
Perfect.
time.
Timing
Note
again.
that note that date. Perfect timing. And so it was a little bit of a slow start, but I think that we are really ramping up these last few years in
Mhm.
terms of opportunities and really bringing together the group. So there are, you know, meetings that we try to leverage multiple opportunities or bringing together large groups of interested parties. So we have a fall convening every year that's in the evening. So hopefully that we're able to bring in educators or K-12 population to work to be able to interact with the rest of our like industry and nonprofit and military and higher
Mhm.
ed institutions. And then we have an annual conference that's coming up, shameless plug, May 3rd at the Air Force Museum from 8 to 4 p.m. It is free for this year. Super excited. Thanks to the Department of Defense and the STEM Education Consortium
Great.
grant. So it is free for all attendees. Very excited about that. We've got some
Yeah, that's awesome.
fantastic sessions designed around just all different, not only STEM, but again, just opportunities and different, best practices and hearing from just a lot of different individuals and mindsets about the needs of the region. So it's very hands-on, I guess I want to say, or interactive. A lot of the sessions were
Mhm.
designed in that sense. So there are workshops within that, panels of students, panels of industry. There are times and where you can actually just go out and test new technologies and different concepts with your hands. The teachers or educators or the attendees can. And there's just a lot of different creative ways. We've got two fantastic keynotes. We're doing mini keynotes. They will be I know, yeah, different little concept there. Some mini keynotes. They will be around the concept of AI. So hopefully
Cool.
lock those down.
Mhm.
Yes, indeed. Once we get them finalized, I can't wait to share a little bit more about them moving forward. But one on the use of AI towards the approach of the educator and how that is
Okay.
actually beneficial to maybe their time and their efforts. They can get back to doing what they love because I can't imagine that it's the amount of paperwork and forms and submissions that they have to fill out. And if we can find something that can help reduce that amount of time so they can actually spend time in the classroom with their kids and being creative,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's what they went into it for. That's what they went through their training for, and
Mhm.
I want them to be able to have that back. So really good speaker. And then on the other one, it's AI in terms of just what that means for our students and
Yeah.
in general. Why is it important that we
Yeah.
start bringing these approaches in? for these kids.
Mhm.
So really excited about those as well. So, save that date. Registration's already open on the Do STEM website. So
Cool. What's the address?
DoSTEM.org,
Thank
do-stem.org. Yes. So yeah, go check that out. If you Google Do STEM, it'll be there. Should pop up right away. So please consider
Check
attending.
it
So very
out.
excited about that. Yes, indeed.
Thank you so much, Jessica.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to our For the Love of EdTech podcast. We hope you enjoyed our conversation today and learned something you can use with your own students. You can find the show notes, resources, and more at www.fortheloveofedtech.org.
For Love of EdTech is produced by SOIDA, the Southwestern Ohio Instructional Technology Association, in partnership with Think TV and CET, the local PBS stations in Dayton and Cincinnati.